Thank you once again. Okay, so my sound was turned off. So, folks, so I apologize if you missed those first few moments. I am Lee Black. I am the host of Real Talk for Real Men. This is an unscheduled little meeting. I just wanted to come on because I've been largely absent from social media. And thank you, CC, for that's my one of my most loyal viewers right there. Appreciate you letting me know that there was no sound. So, look, I just wanted to pop in really quickly on this Friday, August the 16th, and just kind of bring everybody up to speed on what's been going on with me, what's going on with the show. Because we're trying to make our way back, and it's a little bit of an identity crisis that we're going through a little bit on Real Talk, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Change is good. And so, for those of you who are looking to find me, I have not been on my regular Wednesdays. Right now, we're doing some things differently because I've got some things in the fire. If you notice behind me, you don't see you see my shelves are empty. I'm in the midst of moving. Once again, even though I absolutely love my apartment, but for those who've been riding with me, you might know the neighbor above me, just the area here in Buckhead is overpriced, overrated. And so I need some peace and sanity. My work schedule has been absolutely brutal. And so, look, it was necessary for me to take some time off for the summer. And I hope that you guys are doing the same, protecting your sanity mentally, uh, taking care of yourselves. And so that's what I had to do. With that said, I have been in the dark in many ways when it comes to a lot of things. So I wanted to come on and really just give my own unique recap of the Olympics. In my absence, like most of you, I've watched the Olympics. So I was getting off work, checking it out. So I wanted to kind of talk about, some of the things that caught my attention. Grown woman says you have to do what you have to do. Absolutely. Look, I feel better than ever, folks. So stepping away sometimes to clear your head, regroup, rethink, and especially disconnecting from social media, in my opinion, is one of the best things you can do. Sometimes we're tethered to these devices, and whether we want to admit it or not, it's the first thing we reach for, the last thing at night. And so I was able to really take a full step back and divorce myself from social media, from the show, from all of the fuckery and the foolishness. And it has allowed me to get the noodle back to getting excited, getting creative. I hate summer, so it's now we're heading into the fall. I hope that I've got some good things planned for you guys. And look, the truth of the matter is, the ones that ride with me, they'll find me. The ones that don't, that's okay as well. So, in either case, I did want to talk about a few things about the Olympics, and just give my opinion for what it's worth. And for those of you who may know me, I'm an opinionated SOB. So that's what I do. That's who I am. I talk about shit that matters to me. So I want to talk about the opening ceremony of the Olympics. So again, this may have been talked about on other platforms. I don't know. I've been largely absent. The only show that I still kind of did with some regularity was TFG Tonight with Brenton Haynes. And so that's kind of where I pop in on Mondays and do my thing, but I haven't watched anybody else, so I don't know. Uh CC says we're gonna ride till the wheels fall off. That's what's up right there. That is a viewer that I love. I appreciate you supporting me. I truly do. Let's talk about the Paris Olympics and the opening ceremonies. And there was a little bit of a controversy, um, because some people read it as they were doing a disrespectful take on the Last Supper. So you can find all this stuff if you go to YouTube and get caught up or whatever. But look, was I personally offended by it? Not necessarily. Um, Not at my core, but is was it disrespectful to God in general? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're asking me that what they did, um was it offensive, in terms of mocking the Last Supper? I didn't necessarily see it that way as fully, but I got it. but I wasn't all bent out of shape about it, to be honest with you. So my thing was, I fully believe that gay, trans, lesbian, that whole thing, they're at the forefront of everything anyway. So if you're asking me, was I mad about it? I personally was not, that angry about it. But some people were bent out of shape when they thought thinking about the opening ceremonies. But people, it's Paris, it's France. A lot of the fashion choices that we see right here in the United States, they come from the fashion industry. And even we see, examples of famous people like Kanye West, Chris Brown, Beyonce. They're sitting at these fashion shows, and a lot of these fashions. Who do you think are making these clothes? Who do you think are at the forefront making these decisions about how we walk, how we dress, how we talk? When I say we, I'm talking about you motherfuckers, because I don't dress that way. I've never wore skinny jeans. You'll never catch me in a blouse. The man purse it doesn't fit me. And so again, a lot of the fashion choices that's happening out there, a little too feminine for my taste, but I'm an old school middle-aged black man. And so you can bury me in that type of shit. But for those who enjoy it, fine. So to see Paris kind of mock God, folks, are we really shocked? In many segments around the world, God is dead. Not for me, but the truth of the matter is, as Cece says, Paris is a very progressive country. If so, when you say that word progressive, they're fashion forward, they're thinking forward, they're futuristic. And so to see some sissified people and can't caked up makeup and all that kind of stuff, I personally wasn't offended by it, but some were. So that was one of the things to talk about. Let's talk about the host city itself. How do you folks feel that Paris did as a host city? When we think about Paris and we think about going there to visit, we think about all of the culture, the Eiffel Tower, the museums, the food, all of those things. So I've never been personally, but we see on TV and we hear these stories about what it's like to visit Paris. To speak French is sexy in and of itself. I was extremely disappointed with Paris as a host city. There were way too many things that to me that behind the scenes that weren't handled very well. This is not their first time handling the Olympics. And on top of that, when you get announced as a host city, you have 4 years, folks. You have 4 years to prepare to host. So nothing should be left to detail. The fact that you hosted the world into bringing them to your home and that you had a fucking disgusting river that was so toxic they had to go through all of these various different changes, because it wasn't worth even swimming in, I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Uh, Italy is on my bucket list, but not Paris. I'm with you, Cece. I definitely would like to go one day, but I learned so much from the Olympics that I still want to go, but it made me aware. Did you folks know that in most of the buildings in Paris, they don't have air conditioning? I did not know that. And so the NBA players, they got together and they basically said, fuck this. These are multimillionaires, used to living in the lap of luxury. They got together and they pooled their money together. And I think they spent something like $13 million where they basically rented out their own building. So they didn't stay in the Olympic Village because they wanted some of the creature comforts that they were used to. And even though that might sound like an extravagant amount of money to be there for the whatever 10, 15 days that they were over there, think about how much these cats make. So, LeBron James could have wrote a check by his damn self, but to pull your money together for the coaches, the players to be able to perform at the highest level and have the standards of living that they were accustomed to, I think is money well spent. Air conditioning, I heard that the food was shit. They showed on various different venues where they had world top class athletes sleeping on cardboard And so, as a host city, I thought that was really fucked up, that you had 4 years and this was the best that you could do, knowing that you was inviting the world in. And oh, by the way, it was going to be generating millions of dollars to your city. So it wasn't like you were losing money. You had 4 years you went all out to make sure the lighting show was what it was, to have the special cauldron. But when it came to taking care of the athletes, the fucking people, you didn't. Another thing, CC, about that tells me a lot about Paris and probably Europeans in general is they're not the most cleanest motherfuckers over there. You know, um, through a little bit of research, you find out that bathing is just not that important to them in Paris. In fact, the streets are so filthy that rats run in fucking packs. And I'm talking about gangster fucking rats that will probably beat the shit out of New York City rats. And it's a common occurrence there to see people piss, spit, shit on the street because bathing and hygiene is just not at the top of their list. Like you said, they got the money, but they just decided that it wasn't worth spending on the athletes. And so it made me look at Parisians in a whole different light. So if I go, I now would love to go. I know to book someplace where bathing is important, food, air conditioning, and I damn sure don't want to. I don't want to go halfway across the world to fucking see big gangster rats. Grown woman don't try me says, I heard that a friend went a few years ago and she said it was nasty. I have really done my research and I've started to hear the very, very same thing, CC, that is hygiene is just simply not at the top of their list. So, as a whole city, I gave them a F. I thought they did a horrific job. I hope they never get to host the Olympics again. So, I don't think we'll see that anytime soon. So, Paris, I think you dropped the ball when that goes. All right, let's move on to another potential controversy. There was over a female boxer that everyone assumed was a transsexual boxer. Apparently, this young lady, and I'm not going to attempt to do names here, hit so hard that her opponent quit. And then there was a great deal of question as to whether or not this boxer was, in fact, a biological male. Well, through the different mechanisms and testing, and it ultimately came out that this was not a transsexual, that it was, in fact, a biological female. And so, no controversy. But I have something to say about this. Even though maybe in this particular case, it was not a transsexual, so it was not a biological male who felt trapped inside of a female's body or any of that type of shit like that. One of the things I did notice from watching the Olympics is a lot of those athletes in certain sports, they did appear rather fucking manly. Take Ledecky, who's the most decorated Olympian of all time. I mean, just killing these fucking people. I don't know her name, the first name, Ledecky, who won in swimming. Oh, this chick is a fucking beast. But you look at her, she's a man. Now, she may have a pussy, I guess, I'm assuming, but everything else about this young lady, I'm sorry, I'm trying to be disrespectful, was masculine. Her body, her build. So I don't know if some of these athletes are suppressing the estrogen and pumping up the testosterone, if they're taking meds, to gain more muscle mass or whatever. I've already gone on a record many times that I like women feminine. So for me, when I see some of these sports where the women appear and they have, to me, what I consider an advantage because everything else about them is masculine, I don't think that's fair. Look, folks, we could argue all day about transsexual rights, this, that, and the other, recognizing you as an individual. I get that. But I think there should be a separate category just for that. if you're going to have all these other categories, I think you should have a separate category for trans individuals to compete. Then you open it up to somebody to be able to compete if they, however the fuck they say they feel. CC, you're right. Whatever your enhancements are, we can put that by the wayside. And then I feel like, there should be a separate category for those individuals to compete in. I'm still of the old school mindset. Women should look like women. Women should be real women. And the same goes for men. That's what I feel personally. Okay. I want to talk about something else. Another thing, since we talked about all the various different categories, what did you folks think of hip hop as an event in the Olympics? Look, folks, for me, there's a dozen other things that they could have done to make as an Olympic event. To turn hip hop as an Olympic event is bad enough. But to have the countries representing hip hop and the bullshit that they was doing, that was the height of offense to me right there. Grown woman says, I think it's unfair to put women against trans people. It gives them an unfair advantage, in my opinion. I agree 1,000%. And so when I looked at this hip hop, they mentioned that this was an art form born out of the Bronx. Shout out to the Boogie Down. I'm from New York City, in case people don't know. In fact, I lived on Mohegan Avenue. I was there at the time hip hop was born and bred. Now I didn't spin around on my neck and back and shit, even though I was skinny back then, because it just wasn't my thing. I just always like to look cool. I just never saw the need to spin around on my back and neck and shit. But watching these, I don't know, different countries do all this so stupid shit, and even the selection of the music was almost laughable. The shit was absolutely ridiculous. Right, it sucked. The break dancing, and they was really talking about it as if it was technical. But folks, we know that's what happens when white people get a hold of something. They just have a way. I love you, white people. I really do love white people. But they have a way of just taking the soul and the funk out of everything. It can be music, it can be fashion, it can be style. Once white people get a hold of something, sometimes this is why black people are so far ahead of white people when it comes to culture, fashion, dance, and things like that. It's because by the time we leave shit alone and y'all pick it up, we don't even want it anymore. Y'all can have breakdancing. I'm just gonna tell you, if what y'all showcased as breakdancing and hip hop as an Olympic event, y'all can have that shit. Trust and believe. Young African Americans, young Latinos on TikTok, they're way past that now. They're inventing dance moves that's way past that. And so if you was going to have dance, I think you dropped the ball, because you should have, if you were going to do hip hop, you should have went to the source. You should have went to the source. You should have went to African Americans, and you should have had actual real crews to showcase real talent. So I thought you dropped the ball there, because that was absolutely ridiculous, as an event, if you ask me. Okay, folks, let's move on to track and field. Now we're starting to get into some of the true events that most of us tuned in for. Track and field. Let's talk men first. Track and field. How did our brethren do? Well, the men won the 400. They won the gold. In fact, shout out to America in general. We won more medals than anybody else. At the close of ceremonies, we tied China with the most golds of any other city, but we far surpassed everybody else in total medal count. But when it came to track and field, men did their thing somewhat. We won the 400. Noah Lyles, he won, I believe it was the 100 or the 2, whatever he won. He's considered the fastest man in the world, so it had to be the 100, I'm assuming. And then he raced in the 200, where He had a face mask on, and we were told after the fact that he had COVID, this, that, and the other. So I had a little problem with that, to be honest. And I have a problem with Noah Lyles anyway. Look, Noah Lyles is a top-notch athlete doing his thing, but why does he see the need to keep pressing and pushing and offending the NBA players? He's the same person who said that he doesn't consider NBA players world champions because they're not competing against the world. Well, that's his opinion and he's welcome to it. I don't happen to agree with it because if you look at the makeup of the NBA, it is open to anybody who could play. It just so happens that for the last 50 years, or 75 years, I should say, America has been the best of the best of the best. Well, now, certainly they are catching up to Americans, and the league has never had more dichotomy and diversity than it has right now. We have multiple players that are born outside of the United States. In fact, the reigning MVP for the last couple of years is Nikola Jokic. And so, yeah, America's still kicking ass. And when you play at the highest level in the highest league, you deserve respect. The same way the players was trying to give you respect for simply running a fucking 100 meters. So you've trained your whole fucking life to be able to run 100 meters, but don't act like, motherfucker, that you're inventing a wheel. You're just running, motherfucker. That's all you're doing. And in many ways, I'm glad to see that you got a girlfriend because I wondered whether you sucked a little dick or not. There's nothing wrong with sucking dick, but that's what you like. But I'm just saying, I question many things about you anyway. And you're kind of showing that bitchiness about you. Look, accept your goal, enjoy your little bit of fame. You had some negative shit about this, supposedly to say about NBA players. Folks, dude, they're trying to embrace your bitch ass. Accept it. Be a part of a winning team. Come home as a hero. Your fame is not going to last that long, dude. You're in a sport that only gets highlighted every fucking 4 years. The next Olympics coming up is going to be in 2016, the Winter Olympics. Dude, you're hopefully 4 years from now, if you're still competing, but enjoy your fame. You should be showing up at every fucking party you could think of with your face plastered as deep as you can with NBA, WNBA, tennis, golf, everywhere, because you're frankly not going to get the same attention as these guys have. And while they're trying to embrace you and you're pissing them off, it's not a good look. At the end of the day, they play a sport that requires multiple levels of talent and skill, and you run really fucking fast. Let's put that in perspective. All right, let's talk about the women in track and field. My favorite event to tune in for the Summer Olympics is hands down track and field. I love looking at bitches. And when I say bitches, I mean this with love. White bitches, black bitches, nappy-head African bitches, European skinny frail bitches. I just love looking at bitches in those little leotards and those outfits and stretching around and running. And it's just a beautiful thing. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't really give a fuck about who wins, except of course I was rooting for America. And I got to give a big shout out to my girl, Sha'Carri. Sha'Carri, look, she got cheated in many ways. Grown woman says, don't forget BB is a mind sport too. Basketball. I'm coming to basketball. I promise you I'm coming to basketball because that's a separate conversation. But for track and field, Sha'Carri did her thing. I think she proved everything she set out to prove. She is now officially a gold medal winner. You can never take that away from her. I don't know if you folks heard about some of the shit that happened in the background that her and another young lady, the two favorites, they basically bullshitted them in that main race as if they stacked the decks against them because even the eye test, and if you watch track and field, that it was the baddest bitch on the track. Sha'Carri, that's one badass chick right there. Shout out to you, baby. You did your thing. You took your loss from a few years ago. you came back bigger, badder, stronger than ever. And the meme that we even walk away from was you passing that bitch and giving her the side look like, really? So again, you did your thing on every possible way. I agree with you, grown woman. Don't try me. She was absolutely awesome in her performance, her talent, showing up, the way she handled herself, all while being authentic and forever, ever just as Memphis ghetto as you can be. And I just find that sexy as shit. So, Sha'Carri, you did your thing, but the women in general, oh, they kicked ass in track and field. So, shout out to the women track and field because they are, in fact, the most dominant motherfuckers, on the planet right now. And you Jamaican bitches, y'all can't fuck with us. And I was shocked because there used to be a time when them jungle bitches from Africa used to be able to fuck with us, but I guess running through the jungle getting chased by lions and zebras don't make you ass fast anymore. So shit, what can I say? America's kicking ass. Grown woman says she showed them what she was working with. I'm proud of her. Her comeback was a paycheck to her haters. Absolutely. Sha'Carri, you did your thing, no doubt about it. Now, that brings me to the NBA players. And again, I can't mention the NBA players without mentioning the WNBA female players as well. So I was going to say NBA, but let's just say basketball because it's worthy of mentioning both the men and the women when it comes to Olympic basketball. Let's talk about the women first. The WNBA, no, you can't call them WNBA. The women's Olympic team, they're so far ahead of their competition that right now they're the standard. Nobody's even close. And the controversy about whether they should have sent Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark was what it was. At the end of the day, the Olympic women's basketball team set out and did exactly what was expected of them. In fact, had they lost, that would have been probably the biggest news from the Olympics. So they had the smallest room for error. They had to get it right because they're that far ahead of everybody else. So I'm not angry with the fact that they made Angel and Caitlin wait because they selected a team that had a job to do and they went over there and damn it, they did it. Now, are those foreign players eventually going to catch up? Absolutely. Is Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese going to get their opportunities? We truly hope so. But I've argued with others about this, and my only take on this is my stand is where Stephen A. Smith stands on it. And I literally had this argument yesterday in a room full of people at a summer event. While there's nothing wrong with who they sent, in fact, everything about it was right. Those ladies had earned their place to go. Having said that, people talk about it wouldn't be fair if you sent Angel and Caitlin. Fair is a place where we judge pigs because there's a fairness and then there's a business. See, now that the Olympics is over and everybody goes back to their respective home states, here in America, fuck other countries, the WNBA players now, they're not getting paid a fraction of what the NBA players are getting. And they're fighting for their professional lives to have eyeballs and raise the consciousness of their sport. Having said that, if the goal is to bring business, eyes, fans to the game, what better way could that have been done had you put Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark on the team? Are you telling me you think you would have lost with them? I think not. Those two players in particular are showing right from the outset that they're every bit as good as deserving to be on the team in talent. Now, if you want to make an argument that they don't deserve to be there because they haven't put their time in, You can make that argument, but that's not how sports work, people. Talent supersedes that. We're not going to sit here and play and act as if when you get picked number one as a rookie, you might go through a little bit of hazing, but the number one pick based on your talent, you're going to get treated better, treated differently. And nobody can deny that Caitlin Clark, whether you like her or not, whether you want to bring the racial component in it or not, she has drawn viewers to the sport that ordinarily would not watch. She has, in fact, the Tiger Woods effect. Women, white women in particular, white people who may not watch the WNBA because they don't want to see a league predominated by black, masculine-looking bitches, were watching WNBA because, lo and behold, there was a great white hope that could shoot the ball like Stephen Curry. So if the goal is to grow the game, my only argument is that Caitlin Clark could have easily been on that team. You would have gotten global attention. And in case people don't understand, that means dollars and cents. And that's the point Stephen A. Smith was making. And those bitches on First Take was challenging for women. Sometimes you have to get out of your own way. I get that shit. She didn't deserve her. But if you're trying to make some money, sometimes you just have to shut the fuck up and ride coattails so you can get to that platform and then say what you want to say. But I digress. Grown woman says, I agree. They will get their chance to play in the Olympics. We hope. We hope. You know, but anything can happen. They could have catastrophic injuries and they never make it. So you never know. She says Stephen A. Smith needs to sit down and shut up. His commentary disturbs me. Stephen A. Smith is an asshole. CC, I think I love him because I share that asshole quality with Stephen A. Smith. To be honest with you, he's an irritant, but there's no harder worker in the industry. Behind the scenes, there's no greater ally of African Americans to help pull them up as well. So where you might not like him, his personality, behind the scenes, he is instrumental in helping the careers of Ryan Clark, of Unc, of different African American women too, broadcasters, by bringing them on his platform. So while you can shoot the messenger sometimes, you got to look behind the scenes that he knows what it took for him to get to this place. And I got to respect the shit out of Stephen A. Smith for using his platform, because behind the scenes, he going to tell you like it is that, look, I remember when Ryan Clark first came out and Stephen A. Smith would take him to the side and like, you know, look, you're a little too brash. Dress this way. And he tells some of the big guys, Woody, them, wear a tie. He understands what white people are looking at. He's sitting in those boardrooms and understands, and he's privy to things that they don't see. So when he was talking to Monica McNutt, who is sexy as fuck, I would beat the brakes off of Monica McNutt. I know she got some good pussy, but that's a whole nother subject. But while he was telling her, you have to know when to pull back. Sometimes is it important to be right or to get paid? And at the end of the day, sometimes we have to sell out a little bit. I go to work every fucking day and sell a little piece of my soul, but that's what pays for my quality of life. And that's the facts. But let's talk about the NBA players. How many of you, like me, believe that Steph Curry should have been the MVP? Now, we could sit here and I'm looking at social media today and they could make an argument about how many minutes they showed all the statistics. We all know numbers do not tell the whole story. Steph Curry didn't play his best basketball in some of those games, but where it counted. In the medal games, we don't come home with the gold if it's not for Steph Curry. LeBron played brilliant, especially considering his age. The rebounds, the assists, the IQ on the court. I agree that there's probably not maybe 5 people that is as brilliant as LeBron when it comes to his all-around game and understanding the game. Hell, the man's been playing for 20 years. Having said that, Steph Curry is the reason why Serbia had to take their ass and get a back seat. And in case you didn't watch that game, France had our number had it not been for Steph Curry. Steph Curry put on a performance that I think is one of the greatest Olympic performances of any sport that I've seen in my lifetime. I rank his performance right up there with Jesse Owens knocking off the Germans and telling them crowd-eating motherfuckers that America is here, Jack. I rate his performance right up there with Joe Louis knocking Max Smelling ass out and sending them motherfuckers packing. I rank his performance right up there with Carl Lewis doing the goddamn thing and being the most decorated person. I rank his performance right up there with Michael Phelps just kicking ass and being a fucking orca in the water. Steph Curry let the world know that y'all coming for us, but we still here. And the man himself who revolutionized the NBA game and changed the way the game is played, we went from playing defense and playing inside out. Steph Curry single-handedly changed how basketball is played, both women and men, because now they just don't play any defense and they jacking up shots. And for the orchestrator, the innovator, the originator of it, the greatest shooter that God has ever made, he put on a show and let those motherfuckers know that America, Jack, USA, is still the top notch. And we don't go home without the gold. And so timing, importance, shot making, those things to me was more important than LeBron's statistics. LeBron is always going to get his numbers. But what Steph Curry did on a team full of Hall of Famers and number one options, he put on a fucking show. Grown Woman says Steph stepped up and got the job done. No doubt about it. Shout out to Steph Curry. I fell in love with Steph Curry all over again. And so if we're going to tout the longevity and the greatness of LeBron, every time you mention that, you damn well need to talk about Steph Curry because he's been doing it just as long. And LeBron's reign has not been continuous. Steph Curry has been there all along, got just as many championships, and that man deserves to be mentioned as the greatest to have done it at his position. I got to tell you. And the Grown Woman says he took it to another level for sure. Right now, if Steph Curry never played another game, his bust and is already enshrined. He don't have to do anything else. His legacy is he has nothing left to prove. That green-eyed little yellow motherfucker right there, he can play some ball. And the sad truth of it, folks, he's better now than he was when he was younger. That's the God's honest truth. All right, I want to close out on my last Olympic topic by talking about none other than Snoop Dogg. Did anybody, I'm talking about watching there in person or whatever, have as much fun, not just fun. Snoop Dogg is the Olympics going forward. If you're not going to do it at his level, then don't send anybody. That man should literally be the fucking ambassador for the Olympics going forward. A Grown Woman says his heart beats basketball. Talking about Steph Curry. Absolutely. He's just brilliant. But Snoop Dogg was absolutely everywhere. And I'm going to tell you what I was so impressed with about Snoop Dogg. Like you, Grown Woman, she says, I watched Snoop. I loved it. The Crip Walk was awesome. You're going where I'm going with it. What's truly been amazing to me to watch Snoop Dogg's growth, if that's, we can call it that, and it is. He's grown as a man, as an entertainer, all while still authentically being who he is. If you go back to the introduction to this young, brash, pup face that came on the scene with Dr. Dre, who had a foul mouth and a smoking habit. He's the same guy. Has he grown up in terms of maturity? And is he now able to, you know, talk? Sure. But that comes with age and maturity. But at his core, Snoop is the same person. And where he didn't have to change, the world has changed around him and accepted who he is. He's allowed to be his authentic self in every possible way. Have you ever seen someone? He's that rare person. It's very rare that you have someone that is able to go and fit in any situation where other rappers, singers, athletes, they have racial issues and whatnot. Snoop Dogg is that rare individual that first of all, he's known fucking worldwide. So whether he's walking over to talk to the French or the Bolivians or the Sudan, they embraced this dude, and he was able to shed light on different sports and parts of the Olympics that never get attention. And a side shout out for my boy from Public Enemy, who Flavor Flav, who helped pay for and sponsor that team as well. And so what I love about this is these are individuals that are known for rapping or whatnot, but he's so much bigger than his name. Snoop Dogg is so much bigger than his name. And I don't honestly know if he got paid or not, but that man should be the ambassador to goodwill because he has that innate ability to show up and genuinely embrace people and meet them where they are, whatever that country was, whatever that sport is. And he showed just as much enthusiasm for the women gymnasts as he did the basketball players, as he did the swimmers, as he did any competition he showed up in. Snoop Dogg, to me, is the #1 hero of these games. And I've never been so proud to watch him be his authentic self. And folks, get ready for a wild ride because it's already announced that 4 years from now, it's going to be in California. And if you think he was everywhere then, oh, good Lord. Snoop is going to show up and show the fuck out. Grown woman says Snoop hooked up with people that could escort him through doors he may have never dreamed. Absolutely. And don't think, CC, there's not a business component to this. You are so right. I think he's made connections now that's going to take him places where Jay-Z can't go. Celine Dion can't go. And you're right. He's a businessman. I do believe that. I believe that the business doors are going to fly open because I don't be shocked to see Snoop Dogg partner with events and people and products that you would never associate him with. He is about to go in a whole nother direction. And shout out to Snoop Dogg. So anyway, folks, that has been my take. I just wanted to pop in. I even talked a lot longer than I planned to, but I'm trying to get myself back active into talking about the things that I do in only the way that I do. And so, folks, bear with me. We will be on tomorrow. In case you don't know, Real Talk for Real Men is going to, for the foreseeable future, be only on Saturdays. I'm in the midst of moving. I've got some other things going on. The show itself is going through a little bit of an identity crisis, and I say that in a good way because I do plan on getting settled. And when we hit winter, I've got some special things planned as always. I'm reinventing not only the show, but myself. I do want to let you guys know to make an announcement that get ready when winter hits. I'm going to be launching a late night version of Real Talk called The Realest Talk. So you think I say some crazy shit during waking hours? Yeah. The Realest Talk is going to be late night because I'm somewhat of an insomniac. So you're going to catch me smoking and drinking. You're going to catch live guests. We're going to cover music. We're going to cover topics in a way that I just frankly can't talk about during normal hours. And that is my plan. I'm setting up my station just for the grown and sexy late night talk. And it's not for everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But yeah, I am coming, folks. I'm reinventing the wheel here. Grown woman says, I was surprised to see you tonight. The way I ran over there when I got I thank you for being just always on top of it and for popping in to show the love and support. I appreciate that. Grown woman says, I better set my alarm so I don't miss it. Yes, I'm telling any and everybody as I get settled in my new spot. Oh, and by the way, folks, my new spot is better than this spot. When I get settled in my new spot, and I get myself together and I got all my little gadgets and this, that, and the other, I'm going to be launching a late night version called The Realest Talk. And yeah, it's going to have live guests. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I'm looking forward to blowing the doors off of this format where we talk. It's going to be part Shay Shay Club, part whatever you name it. I'm excited because that's one of the reasons why I went away. I needed to recharge. I've been doing real talk for 5 years. And when something gets stale, even if something is good, the greatest shows you get to a point where you need some innovation. Game of Thrones has run its course. The Wire run its course. I needed to recharge and I needed to reinvent what I do for this to still be exciting for me. I've never done this to get paid. Look, getting monetized would be great in a way, but the other part of it, it puts limits on me, and I can't be my authentic self if I'm chasing, what YouTube says and what this says. To be me, I have to be me all the way. I have to be free to be that Black Archie Bunker. So for the people who ride with me and fuck with me, I love you. Stay with me. I've got some good things coming up. For the others who see me as an opinionated, homophobic, misogynistic SOB, well, fuck you very much too. I'll see you as well. So in either case, it's Friday. It's been a long week. Thank you, CC, for popping in. For the one or two people who popped in and checked me out, keep checking me out. Check us out tomorrow. We'll be on 7 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do a part 2 to A Mind is a Terrible Thing. As kids are getting back in school, parents are getting some of their children, all these ugly ass kids that you celebrated, and went all overboard with their outlandish outfits only because these little fuckers graduated high school. Most of these fuckers ain't going to college. But for a lot of parents, they're putting their young adults in college. And for real parents, they're getting their mind flipped over to back to school shopping, getting kids back on a regimen. So part 2 is tomorrow, called A Mind is a Terrible Thing, where Tasha and I are going to be talking about all things that get this gray noodle moving. And so it could be religion, politics, current events, who knows. Hope you tune in, grab your drink, grab your smoke, whatever you like, pop in, have some fun with us. You already know it's going to be off the chain. You know we're going to go down some fucking rabbit holes. That's what we do. So in any case, I'm going to continue my drink, decompress from this long week, watch a little movies, but I will see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. And the show again is going to be A Mind is a Terrible Thing, part 2. I love you. Keep supporting me. I'll keep doing what I do as long as I can. Everybody have a great, great night. And as always, I'm Lee Black. Keep it real. Peace out.